All right, here we go. Okay, welcome. We are on episode 4 of the Road Warrior podcast with Greg Rubendall. Here today, I am joined by the most important male in my life. I am from him and like him, my dad, Bill Rubendall. So, Bill, or Dad, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine. Looking forward to this meeting.
Yeah. It's funny, a lot of times when you go on a podcast or you're talking about things, you talk about the important people in your life. For me, especially in this first season, I wanted to talk to the most important people in my life who know me the most, have known me the longest. And then I think it's interesting to spend time interviewing people that you know so well that you don't actually necessarily maybe get to questions and conversations that you would have in an interview type setting. So I know my dad is not he's a very introspective individual, so I'm going to be pulling stuff out of you while we go through, but he's definitely got a gift of gab when he gets going, so hopefully he's all fired up. We caffeinated him, and he's ready to go. Okay, so first, I wanted to start off with, and just for you, just with an introduction, the reason why I selected you, and the thing I want to say, just to start off, is what you taught me about myself and life in general, being your son. So I think it's, I just say these things just to get it off, and I think, these are for all, parents out there, kids out there to recognize, and I think it's, hopefully they're good for you to hear. First one, be a warrior. And as we'll get into, high school mascot was the Warriors. Bill was a coach of Ignacio Valley in Concord for 12 years. And so I think with that, be a warrior for all. I think, you spent all of your life fighting for people who didn't maybe necessarily have a voice or the strength to stand up and fight for what they deserved, right? And I think for me, that's one of the things that professionally, looking at people who are impoverished, disenfranchised, or don't have as big a voice. I think as we'll get to, as a lawyer and as a teacher, that you've worked with populations who are a lot harder to move because their starting point is maybe not as advanced as we would like them. So you spent the time. So that, I think for me, that's number one. Number two, like showing me how to lead, right? Getting out in front of groups, taking a responsibility position, being able to do the dirty work and the hard things that a lot of people don't want to do. They talk about the problems, but they don't want to find any solutions. And I've seen that time and time again from you. There's problems, but there's always a solution. And then also, just also how not to lead. Not that we all have our own personalities. And as we'll get into, there's a lot of similarities between you and I. But at the same point, how you lead and your personality is different than mine, and some of the things that I've learned from that. This one is obviously one of the more taboo topics that we don't talk about as much, but like mental health and mental disability. So you and I both have bipolar. It's not as I share with everybody because I think it's important for people to know and understand it, learn about it. But navigating life with something that's just different, and there's a lot of strategies and things that I saw you do, and how I've grappled with that and dealt with it. It's not easy, and I know we both had our challenges with it, but it's also a blessing. It creates a lot of creativity and thought and energy in the things that we love. So it's a dual-edged sword, and hopefully it doesn't cut us too often. Also, in terms of how to build a community through sports and to develop, kind of a family feel with things. I think, in a lot of the projects growing up as a kid, it always was not just me participating. It was me coming into belonging and creating a family type of environment. And you're always very warm, and again, did the management side that a lot of people don't want to do that work. You love it. You're I don't know why, but that's the stuff for me. I'm more science, math based, but growing up, the importance of reading and writing and understanding how to do that effectively, because communication is the number one skill. I was not very good communication wise in terms of what was, in a more emotional sense. And I think, through writing, through reading and understanding, I think that is something that you do, but also you help me develop. And, also, within that is the idea of never stop learning, always trying to improve. If you have questions on things, you don't throw up your hands, you get out the encyclopedia, the source, the dictionary, you find that information. And, with a massive library at home and the classics and contemporary stuff and everything, it's that thirst for knowledge kind of came from the environment that was around me and the fact that, you had done it yourself. So, I think we always surround ourselves with our best memories, and sometimes that can feel cluttered, but it also reminds us of like the things that we love and the thoughts and emotions that it pulls from you. Another one is also the necessity with planning and time blocking. So being very organized and schedule oriented with big windows of time and no structure. I think, you can be inefficient. And just watching you with your day timers, and your schedules and meetings and how you organized it and added in notes and things like that. That's something I do now in a different way, but very, very similar. And I know you kept those for forever. I don't even know why, maybe it's tax purposes. And then, really the writing as therapy. So from the reading and writing, but writing as therapy with the thoughts and emotions and, being able to communicate with yourself in a written dialogue versus just having the thoughts consume you, getting frustrated. So I think that is something that, I've seen from the things that you have done and produced and like shared with people. One thing, just out of that is, like Brian Culligan, he had those amazing limericks and poems that he used to read us. And for those, little reference, Brian was our team coach for our team Liverpool, and was one of my teammates. Sean was his father. Worked along with my dad, but he used to write these amazing poems that integrated everybody. And that's actually something I do now, is I like write poems, and especially just with integrate people and things like that. So, and then finally, I don't know if you feel this way, but learning to be the smartest guy in the room. I personally don't. I like to be surrounded with people that I have high respect for, and that I know they have knowledge that I don't necessarily have, and I really want to be in. And sometimes, you get into a room and you look around and you're like, okay, I have to be the leader because I have the most knowledge to share. I can guide these conversations. And then there's other times where you take a back seat and you spend a lot of time listening. And so I kind of learned a little bit of that because, watching your interactions in different types of rooms, this is your scene, but this wasn't your scene. And I could kind of, and I always have told everybody, there's nobody in the world that I think is more well-read, more thoughtful than you are. And you have a ton of experience. So wanted to kind of tell you that, that's what you've taught me and about life in general. So I have a whole bunch of questions that we'll chat about, and some questions that I have for you, and hopefully we'll have a nice conversation.
Okay, well, I'm ready to go.
All right, let's do it. Okay, all right. So first and foremost, your professional background. So tell us a little bit about what you've done in your adult life, paying the bills.
When I was in college, I always thought I was going to be a high school social studies teacher. Mm-hmm. And after I graduated from UC Berkeley, there weren't any jobs available for male social studies teachers. It just was a really depressed time for teachers and new teachers.
And when was that? What?
And that was in, I graduated from college in 1972.
Okay. And what was the cause of that, you think?
I'm not sure what the cause was. It just seemed to be the reality is what I saw. And so I decided I have to do something else. I had a couple of different jobs, and then about a year after college, I decided I was going to go to law school, which I did. I went to a part-time law school at night for 4 years to get my JD degree.
Yeah.
And then I passed the bar, and I started a law practice by myself. And eventually I had some partners. I had some partnerships in law, and I practiced law for about 40 years.
Okay.
A little more.
So law school is pretty expensive. How did you pay for law school?
I worked throughout law school. I worked in the probation department, and my wife, Valerie, worked as a loan officer in a credit union. So we had income to pay for law school, and also it wasn't as expensive then as the schools are now.
Uh-huh.
So we were able to pay for law school as we went along.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of law did you end up working in?
Eventually I settled into bankruptcy law, personal and business, and I did a lot of Chapter 11 work.
For those who don't know, what does that mean?
Well, Chapter 11 is a reorganization. It's the most complex bankruptcy. When you hear of corporations filing for bankruptcy, typically they're filing Chapter 11, reorganizing. In other words, not going out of business, but reconstituting their business. Did a lot of that work, particularly in the 80s. And that was a good experience. But I like working with individuals, with families as well. So I enjoyed the law practice. I took a little bit of a hiatus from law practice to do what I had wanted to do from the beginning, which was to teach in high school. Mm. And so I got my teaching credential in single subject social studies, and then taught for 8 years at a low performing school, very diverse, and it was a good experience. I taught the AP U.S. History, AP Government classes. I also taught an Introduction to Law class for a couple of years. They had it available. It was a good experience. Eventually, however, I returned to my law practice and continued to do that for a long time until my wife became very ill, and I had to pretty much give up doing any kind of work, as I had to be a caregiver for 24/7 while she was ill. But I did enjoy the teaching experience. In fact, I still do teach as a substitute teacher. I teach mostly high school and middle school. The other day I had an assignment in kindergarten. It was quite an experience.
Yeah. Yeah. For those who don't know, my wife, who will be on a future episode, is a first grade teacher. And I didn't know he took this assignment. And when we were chatting, he said he actually sent a message over to her directly and said, "I don't know how you do it." Right. Different type of personality.
Yeah, I preferred the high school age group, which I did for one of the years I was teaching as a substitute. I was what was called a dedicated sub. I was working 5 days a week at one high school, a variety of positions.
Mm-hmm. So within that, obviously, you were a lawyer. So you probably have an amazing amount of money and made a ton of money in bankruptcy law, right?
No, bankruptcy law. Your clients are all broke, so that it's hard to make a lot of money in bankruptcy law unless you've got some corporate clients that are big time companies. My specialty was in small businesses, and it was not a real lucrative practice, but I enjoyed it and kept the bills.
Yeah, and so one of the things I remember is we worked on the barter system growing up. So a lot of the clients that went through the business, they had businesses, but they didn't necessarily have the ability to pay lawyer fees. So we've got a lot of services and things from clients who, he did a great job helping them reorganize their lives. But they wanted to be able to pay, but they couldn't. So personally, growing up, I thought we had a ton of money because everything was always, tip top, and we were able to do the things we wanted to do, and there was definitely some no conversations, but one of the main impetuses of these conversations, I traveled the world from a young age as a soccer player, as an athlete. I got to see a lot of different things, and it stretched the family budget, but there were strategic ways around that, in terms of working to help organizations that would help reduce or subsidize fees with camps, clinics, things like that, or travel, or just saying, okay, we're gonna get put it on the credit card and pay it off because this is an experience that we want for our kids.
Well, we also did, with the soccer teams, we did a fair amount of fundraising, which was a good experience, and that helped defer costs, particularly for those persons that weren't as financially well off, that we were able to support them a little bit more with our fundraising efforts.
Yeah, so and I think in the modern era, everybody's trying to fundraise. There's a fundraiser of the week from every organization that a parent has for their kids. I would say what we did was really grassroots type of organizing. We did silent auctions. We had garage sales, community-based garage sales. We didn't do the classic, selling candy bars, things like that. We did things that connected our families together, took a lot of sweat equity, and, I think a lot of the work of setting up those auctions, so silent and live auctions, where we made quite a good amount of money, was through the dedication of the families, and then also I think you organizing and mobilizing everybody. I don't think somebody else was the lead dog. You were it, right?
Well, I was the leader, but there were a lot of really good parents, and a lot of them had businesses of their own and were able to contribute something from their business experiences, and it was really good to work with other people, but the other families.
Yeah.
And there's a real commitment when the families get involved; they become very committed to the outcome.
Yeah, and I would say nowadays it's more club-based fundraising. It's shifted a little bit, so you don't get this team-based fundraising very often. In some cases, clubs won't even let their teams fundraise because the fundraising has to go to a general scholarship fund versus for specific individuals, and I think that's something that I think it's something that has changed, and I think just as you mentioned, it brought our team and our group together. We were, the club was important, but our family was our team, right? And so that's kind of shifted over the last couple of decades, at least in the soccer world, in working in a youth club. So, but again, I am because you are and were, right? So the things that you've done, I mean, anybody who was on my high school teams, the number of bowl-a-thons we did to raise money, which were, something that I learned, being a part of the things that you created. So I really do appreciate that. And, as I was actually, you say you're teaching now, I was at the school that you substitute teach a lot at, Natomas High in North Sac. I was there just talking to them, and I was looking to chat with their AD and the office staff. I asked them, do you deal with the substitutes? I said, yeah, they do. I was like, do you know my dad, Bill Rubendall? And they're like, oh, Bill, we love Bill. Oh, he's great. Like, so he comes in here and checks in. He's like, nah, he's got a key card. He just kind of goes and waits for his assignment, does his thing. So you're well thought of. You may not know, but the office staff love you, and I think for those who don't know, he spoke about Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh is more a lower income area in the Bay Area. A lot of Section 8 housing was built there when the East Bay Valley started to grow, and people were moving from the urban Oakland area into more the Valley area. And so, Pittsburgh, has a really diverse environment and some really great, amazing restaurants and places to be. It's right on the Delta. But I think the one thing with that whole experience that when you were telling me is, you spent a lot of time teaching these kids Latin phrases. So, what was the most common Latin phrase
it's been a while. I'm not sure I can remember that.
Yeah.
But now I'm in the Natobas Unified School District, which amazingly is the second most diverse district in the United States. It's just like a UN.
Yeah.
Being at a UN with all these students, and it brings a lot of richness to the culture.
Yeah.
To have all these things. This is what I wanted to do. It's one of the reasons I like Pittsburgh High. It was very diverse, and in the Thomas district, it's really quite a good experience. I enjoy the kids.
Yeah, and it's as I went to the school, in the office itself, they have flyers, visible flyers in 5 different languages, I believe. I was looking at them. There was, there was Arabic there, English, Spanish, and I believe it was Tagalog, but I'm not 100% sure. It might have been another language because I'm not so aware of the Asiatic languages, but.
A lot of languages spoken.
Yeah, there you go. And I told somebody recently, they say, and I'm not 100% sure, but Sacramento is the most diverse city in the United States, primarily because the I-5, which goes from Mexico to Canada, and the 80, which goes San Francisco to Maryland, intersects in Sacramento. So there's a massive commercial input coming through the city. And, for those who have never been to Sacramento, come for the food. We are the farm to fork capital for a reason. There's anything you can possibly want. So you mentioned, you like that UN feel. And so just talking a little bit about you growing up as a kid, you were a military brat. Your father was in the Army, was a World War II vet.
No, actually Vietnam.
He was a Vietnam vet. Okay.
And that war went on for quite a few years.
Yeah.
It was growing up in a military family. We did a lot of moving around. In fact, I went to 6 different high schools.
How was that?
And that was difficult because.
Is that how you want to be a high school social studies teacher? One high school?
It's difficult to move around so much because you're always leaving your friends and then having to make new friends. It's not always that easy. But it did expose me to a lot of different environments, and that was good. I think it helped mature me a bit to have these experiences of moving and going to different schools and meeting new friends. I think this was a very good experience overall, but I went to 3 different high schools my sophomore year, so I don't recommend that.
Where were they?
Well, the high schools I went to were in Chicago, Virginia, France, American school in France, and in California.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Of the high schools that you went to, which one was your favorite?
Well, I enjoyed the experience in France the most. That was really good, and we got to do some traveling within France, which was really a good thing. It was a good experience. Got to we were in Orléans, which is 100 kilometers south of Paris, so we got to go to Paris, go to the museums, Eiffel Tower, and so forth.
Was there an American base there?
American base was in Orléans.
Okay.
And It was the what was called the COMZ, COMZ, which was the headquarters essentially for all of Europe.
Okay.
Out of Orléans.
Okay. All right. And then, so I was talking a little bit, your sporting experience. I know you had a pretty, so you played football, did track and field. I know you had an experience in Europe while in France. What was that like?
Well, it was really enjoyable to have, particularly the track and field. I did that all 4 years of high school.
What were your events?
And I participated in every event, track and field, except the hurdles at one point or another. My specialty event was the pole vault, and I qualified for the All-European Championship in Germany, but unfortunately, my dad got transferred before the event, and so I missed out on the opportunity to go to Germany and compete in the pole vault. But it was still a good experience. I also missed my junior prom that year, and I was co-chairman of the prom, and the prom was in Paris.
Oh,
the
City of Lights?
I'm not sure.
Was it City of Love, City of Lights? I think it's the City of Lights.
Yeah.
Well, that's, obviously unfortunate to not be able to go to Germany. And was it a competition amongst all the American schools all Europe?
It was all the American military schools in Europe.
Okay. What was your pole vault high?
Oh, I
guess.
It was something over 10 feet, but I don't know exactly. I can't remember. It's that long ago.
Okay. I don't know pole vault, so 10 feet sounds high.
Well, in those days, we had aluminum poles that didn't have the fiberglass poles, so we didn't achieve some of the heights that later, with the better technology of the poles, people were able to do a little better.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I remember growing up is I was voluntold to participate in track and field, and both my siblings and me, we did track and field until 8th grade.
I coached the CYO track for 17 years, and was fortunately able to coach all three of my children and a whole lot of young people. It was a really good experience to do that.
Any professional track and field athletes that came through that program that you remember?
Not that I remember.
Yeah.
No.
You didn't keep up. You didn't keep track of them.
No, I didn't keep track of them.
Well, so we were part of the CYO, which is linked to St. Francis of Assisi, which is the Catholic church just down the street from a really small, Christian Brothers school. Probably nobody's heard of it. De La Salle, nobody's heard of it. Carondelet with the girls' school, nobody's probably heard of that. No, really, people in sport in America know De La Salle and De La Salle football, and so I guarantee you had professional athletes who were long jumping in your pit because you were the pit master.
Yeah,
you were really good at brooming that sand flat.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing that stuff. I think that's good. So in terms, I know you football. You're obviously pretty robust. You did a lot of working out as a kid. The one thing I remember that, because my dad has big old Popeye forearms, do you remember the sawed-off baseball bat with a rope and an oven mitt tied to it with a brick inside? And to build wrist strength was to roll the brick up and down using the mitt. Who taught you that?
I don't know, but that was something I enjoyed doing.
It's like the Rocky Balboa version of forearm.
It did
development.
help for building up forearms and wrist strength.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Just so you know, I would put Sylvester Stallone against my dad in an arm wrestling contest because I think he could beat me with his pinky finger until I was about 16 years old.
Well, actually, the arm wrestling champion in my family growing up was my grandmother. My grandmother lived with us, and she was a cook, a professional cook, and stirring up a lot of mixes. And she was very, very sturdy and very strong. And even up to about 8th or 9th grade, I couldn't beat her in arm wrestling. She wouldn't put my hand down, but she would hold her own, and I couldn't put her down. So. She was the champion in the family.
German, correct? She was
from Czechoslovakia and was married to a German, and
moved over here.
Came over here after the Depression, and moved to Chicago. Chicago was where I was born.
Okay. I'm sure there are a lot of German sausages, Czechoslovakian sausages in Chicago. So
my favorite thing is. I remember one birthday really fondly. We were stationed in Germany, and for my birthday, my parents took me off to the local butcher, and I got to pick out my own sausage for dinner. That was a real special occasion.
Was it the look or the type that you chose?
I can't remember what I chose back then, but I do like sausages.
As every German has ever said since the beginning of time. Yeah. What's your favorite pairing with a sausage?
Well, I like my sausage on a bun, and I like to load up the bun with a lot of condiments. As far as pairing it,
you got to have sauerkraut. Sauerkraut's number one, right?
Sauerkraut is really quite good, and my grandmother's sauerkraut was the best. She was the family cook. They made all these specialties. We had fresh pastries for breakfast every day.
So we're going to the beer garden up in Roseville this evening. Okay, fictitiously, what beer do you pair with a sausage on a bun with kraut?
Well, I like a lot of varieties of beer. The German beers are the place in locally, the German restaurant. They had like 20 German beers on tap. And I like just about all of them. I don't drink so much of the lagers as the heavier beers I like better.
Oh, okay. You don't have a specific flavor, so wet with foam at the top.
Yeah.
Size? Are you a half liter guy? Full liter guy?
Well, I like the beer samplers where you have about 4 to 6 different beers that you can pair with your food. I enjoy that.
Yeah. Well, it leads you into the aggressive wine tasting that you had as a 16-year-old?
Yeah, we started drinking wine with the family when I was in Europe, in France, and the local product was a rosé. So I started drinking rosé and drank that for most of my younger years.
What's then is there a specific legal age for alcohol? Is it just kind of more of a cultural, social thing?
In France, if you could put your money on the bar, they would serve you.
Okay, and that's probably not the same now, but okay, good to know. Good to know. So you don't have to be that tall, or maybe they have really, I guess if a place is struggling, do they lower the countertop so that they could, get more people there?
I don't know. Me and my football buddies would go out to the local bars and drink beer.
There you go. Well, cool. Yeah, I think kind of going into that. What is, from all that moving around, military family? What's the one lesson that you pull from that experience? Seeing other cultures and all of that. Is there what one thing you're like? You know what, that set me up for life, right? That was, whether it was memories, language, culture, food, people. What did you really pull from that?
It's a hard one to really pinpoint. I do think that moving around a lot, going to different places, was good for social experiences. To be able to meet with people and to talk and meet new people was really a skill that I think helped me along from that experience.
Were you an outgoing kind of kid? Did you,
was
when you went to the new high school, did you like find the bully and engage in a fight to learn that? Like what?
I was a peaceful guy. I didn't associate with the bullies. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh. That's but in going in, was it easy for you to come into a new environment, make new friends, or difficult? Was it something you had to like that fear, or was it so common?
Well, it varied a lot from one school to the next. I went to a school in Chicago that had 5,000 students. That was a big difference from most of the schools I went to. I graduated from a school in Virginia. I went to 2 different schools in Virginia. And the culture there was that most of the students in high school had grown up together, from like kindergarten up through high school, and it was somewhat of a cliquish school. It was not a military school, and there were only a handful of us military brats that were at the school, and we were sort of ostracized. In fact, I didn't go to my senior prom because no one would go out with me, and that was really a shock because I was always able to have girlfriends and so forth. I actually asked 8 different girls to the senior prom. Even I had invited a pair of twins, invited to take them both, and I got turned down all the way. So I did on my senior prom night. I had a job that I was working at on prom night.
Yeah. Well, they missed out because anybody who's been to our silent auctions and it always ends with music at the end. And from my memory serves me, you are the limbo champion of most, if not all, that I've seen.
I was a pretty good limboer, yes.
So you can jump over the poles and you can duck underneath them. That's a pretty good skill.
Yeah, it's quite a skill. It's really made such a big difference in my life.
As I'm sure. I'm going to go with some rapid fire questions. So these are going to come quick. First thing off the top of your head. Some might stump you. So if we like next, and then we'll go back to it to give your brain some time to think. All right, next one. What is your life's purpose? Why do you do the things that you do? Like if you were to boil it down to a phrase or a word.
I think the life's purpose, the best one, is just to grow, to grow in enriching yourself in knowledge and experience, and to me, that's really the purpose. What should be for most people a real purpose in life is.
I'm talking about you particular. Like if you said your mission statement, I'm here to blank.
I think I'll pass on that one. I don't know about my mission statement at the moment.
There you go. Well, maybe we'll come back to that one. Your favorite author? Go.
My favorite author is, I like mysteries, and my favorite author is Rex Stout, who created the character Nero Wolfe, and he wrote about 50 novels. I've read about half of those, about 25 of his novels, and I'm still reading. I read one of his books just the other week.
Oh, okay. How many books do you finish in a month?
I read about a book or 2 a week.
Okay, so about 8 books a month?
Okay,
that's pretty good. And you're talking about physical books, right? Not the Kindle,
right.
Not the online.
Never read a book online. I had done some audiobooks once when you're traveling in the car. We had those days we had cassettes, but I liked the audiobooks, but I haven't done those recently. But just reading a book, something about feeling the book in your hands is a good experience.
Okay, so I know you do a lot of history, social studies type of idea of the classics, right? The classics. Favorite book that are of the classics?
Well, a book that I remember very fondly was Madame Bovary.
Madame Bovary, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the ones.
Don't know what's that. What's the?
Well, it's kind of a romantic plot to it.
Is it set in France?
I'm not. It's been a while since I read it, but I think it was written in the the 1800s.
Okay. Age of Enlightenment, or
Yeah,
just thereafter?
No, that was after that. Yeah.
Okay. Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
Yes. I got a 4 on my AP
All right.
history, so
Good.
really important there. Okay. What is your personal biggest strength? You think? The thing that you're best at?
Well, I'm kind of speechless, so it's certainly not my
Speaking ability.
it's not my speaking abilities. I like people a lot. I just being friendly,
Yeah. Easy to get along with.
easy to get along with.
There you go. Okay. If you could improve one area of your life right now with the snap of the fingers, what would it be?
Well, I lost my wife 5 years ago, and I think I have a couple of lady friends. I would like to have more. Actually, like to have more friends.
Yeah.
Both male and female.
Yeah, and knowing, so for those who don't know, spent most of the adult life in the Bay Area, Concord, and only later in life did you move up to Sacramento.
Right.
So all of those social environments that you had kind of with us as kids and families and parents, when you move at an older age, it can be really hard to make friends unless you have dedicated, significant social groups. So I know you're a part of a church group or organization. What's the denomination again?
The church I go to is based on science of religion, and it's a multi-denominational church. A lot of nice social context. We even have a wine tasting group in the church, which is tomorrow. We're going to have a educational event with wine.
I will say the most important aspect of that church is its wine tasting every month. Knowing this guy, he does a lot of wine tasting. For those who don't know, I did a podcast called Kicks and Sips. I'm not drinking, and I invited him. He did all the wine tasting while I got the interview. And so for those, Elizabeth Hutchinson does that, captain of the Cal Storm here in Sacramento. She's a winemaker, but I brought my dad because I knew he would enjoy it. So
yes, I did.
Check that one out. That's a crossover right there.
I still do a lot of wine tasting. There's a lot of available wine tasting regions within an hour or so of, or a little more than an hour from Sacramento.
Yeah.
And it's something I enjoy going with my lady friends who are into wine tasting as well.
There you go. Okay. So anybody out there loves wine, you need recommendations, this is the guy. What's your favorite wine?
My favorite wine is Pinot Noir, and I do, however, like Cabernet Sauvignon quite a bit.
Okay. Now you're lying to me, because from what you've told me, your favorite wine is white or red or pink.
That's true. Those are the only wines I like are white, pink, or red.
Okay. Last one in the rapid fire. If you could be any superhero, because you had a massive comic book collection, if you could be any superhero, who would you choose and why?
Greg knows the answer to this question.
I don't know the answer. That's why I'm asking
he does.
it.
The Incredible Hulk.
Why the Incredible Hulk?
Oh, I don't know. There's something about him. I think he was big-hearted in spite of his size and power and everything. I think he had a big heart.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the Incredible Hulk. And also the changeability, the changing from one thing to another, being a little bit out of control. That seemed to fit into my personality a little bit.
And by the way, for those out there, definitely fits his personality. Mild-mannered, and then all of a sudden he's puffing his chest, but then 2 minutes later he's nice and relaxed. And what's the tag from David Banner? Right before he gets angry, he starts getting agitated. What's his phrase?
Gosh, I don't know. It's escaping me right now.
I know it, so I'm gonna.
Go ahead, you tell us.
Yeah. Don't make me angry.
Don't make me angry.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
That's it. All right.
That's that. Yeah. Don't make me angry.
Well, I'm a lot less angry person now in my time in life than I was as a younger person, I think.
All right. And last one. This is just a comment with no answer needed. You never just call me to talk. Why is that?
Well, that's a good question.
It's not a question. You can't answer it. I'm just moving on. Call me to talk to me. Okay.
All right. We'll do that.
I'm learning
it's on my to-do list, believe it or not.
Perfect. Okay. So segueing in, and I know we'll probably take a break. This episode this is end of episode 1 or the first half of the episode with Bill Rubendall. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to go into some more sport-related questions on developing programs, also the structural organizational things within sport, but also raising kids and teaching kids and what that means in the past, for today, and then for tomorrow. This is the Road Warrior Podcast.